Hey guys, this is Tate. In this episode of BazaarU, I want to talk about the shop choices that you get presented with. Sometimes you need to go to a vendor to get items that you want, or sometimes you can take another event to progress your run. And this is a common situation I find myself in where I have the option to choose the docks with a star chart in my stash, meaning I would get 1 XP and 4 gold, which is a guaranteed way to make my build stronger. Or I can go to a vendor and try to find items that I really want. Now, in this setup, I'm running an aquatics early game, and I know that weather glass is a great item to kind of help me progress through the mid game. The reason for that is I have a poison item here, I have a freeze item, I have a burn item, and then I also have a slow item in the stash. So I really want the weather glass, but what is the probability that I get the weather glass? So this is the stash. I have the star chart, I have the slow item, everything's set up where I do want the weather glass. Now, we can go and look at all of the items this vendor could possibly give us right now, and this is the pool that we're pulling from. So since this vendor specifically sells tools, there's a smaller amount of items, meaning there's a better chance that we get the one that we want. So I've X'd out some of the items in this, example of what I wouldn't take, but I'd be okay with a lighter, I'd be okay with a dive weights, and I would love a weather glass. So let's look at the probability of getting the weather glass, and if I don't get the weather glass, the probability of at least getting a lighter or a dive weights. So you can think of this as a bag of 17 balls, one being green, which is the weather glass, two yellow, which would be the lighter and the dive weights, and then the rest are red. So you draw three, meaning the shop choice presents you with three options. And then if you don't get anything that you want, you're going to refresh the shop, so you'll get another three. And it's important to note that you won't get the same items that you saw earlier, meaning you're not replacing them back into the pool. So the probability of drawing a green ball is there's two scenarios. You either draw it on the first case, so a 3 and 17, or when you re-roll, you get it. So the probability that they're all, not good, they're all red, is 91 out of 170, and the probability that you get a green one after you've discarded 3 is now 3 and 14. So the math works out here to be about 29.12% of the time you will get the weather glass. Now, if you don't get the weather glass and you just take one of the yellow items, the math works out to about 65%. So, you have a 65% chance of walking away with something that's progressing your run. So you are gambling a third of the time that you just whiff on the vendor. But within that chance, you have a 29% chance of getting the weather glass, which is a huge, huge boost to the run. So you kind of need to evaluate, is a 29% chance at getting the weather glass better than a guaranteed XP in gold? So there's no real answer to that, but that is how you want to think about your shop choices as you progress through the bazaar. Now, this kind of extrapolates to many, many shop choices that you'll be presented with, and of course, you're not going to do this math while you go through your run, but you will eventually kind of understand that if this was JJ, that 29% chance is maybe 2%, maybe 3%, and it would be better just to take the 1 XP. But when you have the tailored vendor to the item that you want, with a couple of other items that would be beneficial anyway, it's sometimes worth the risk. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care.